First question's from Fabian Ardaya. Go ahead, Fabian.
Hey, Andrew, we all know you're in on Juan Soto. How far did you guys get along in those negotiations, and how close do you feel like your package would have been to what San Diego gave them?
Obviously, it's hard for me to get into specifics on that. I think everyone knows us well enough to know that, we'll be aggressive pursuing different things. But out of respect to Washington and also San Diego, it's hard to get into specifics there. But I think our track record would suggest that, obviously we would have been aggressive in trying to figure something out.
And then what stands out to you about Joey Gallo? What made him someone that you wanted to take a chance on, considering the struggles he's had in New York?
Yeah, a year ago, he was worth a lot in the industry, got traded for a lot, and the true talent level, remains. We feel like getting him here, getting him with our guys, that there's a real compelling upside story. And so, for us, it was lengthening our position player base to cover for unforeseen things that could pop up in August, September, October. We saw it last year when months went down the last game of the year. Just things can happen, and adding a talented player that we feel like there's some real potential upside with was something that was compelling for us.
And then last one, at least for me, what sort of led you guys to choose now to be the time to bring up Miguel Vargas?
For us, it was always about opportunity and getting at bats and, at different points, whether it was exposure to the outfield. We believe in the bat and feel like he can really hit. The positions that he had played didn't necessarily fit us with things that were going on at the time. And so we've gotten some experience in the outfield, which he's taken to pretty well. For us, just continuing to vet options versus right-handed pitching versus left-handed pitching. A big thing for us, obviously, is to play well down the stretch and learn a lot more in terms of the best way to configure things, hopefully in October.
Thanks.
Next question is from Juan Toribio. Go ahead.
Hey, Andrew, you guys are relatively quiet. Is that just because the confidence you guys have of the guys are still in the IL and kind of them being able to come back at some point this season?
Yeah, I guess maybe we were quiet outwardly, but there was a lot going on. And, but that being said, I talked about this a lot. My goal in every offseason is to do everything I can for us not to have to go into July with acute needs that we have to address. It is the most expensive time of the year to acquire players. And, we felt really good about the team that we have in place. Obviously our offense and our pitching staff have been very high performing. And for us, with some combination of, the arms that we potentially have coming back in August and September, between Brusdar Graterol, Victor Gonzalez, Tommy Canely, Walker Buehler, Blake Trinan, Danny Duffy, Dustin May. We have a really talented group that some combination of those guys come back, and it's really high end to add that quality to the guys that we have in place now. And so it just spoke to having a high bar. And, we feel really good about the potential for what our pitching staff could look like in October. And we're not relying on all of them coming back and being great. Some combination of that, I think, puts us in a really good position to have a really strong October pitching staff. And so with the way our guys have performed, with the guys we have coming back, we felt really good about that group. And then on the position player side, we felt like adding something to help lengthen that group would be helpful. And obviously we had a lot of conversations in the last few weeks and even more today But we feel good with where things ended up in terms of, the pricing on different things and how it fit in with our group. We have a really special dynamic in that room right now, and something that we're cognizant of and mindful of as we kind of navigated this deadline.
And Mitch White has kind of gone up and down a little bit this year, but what kind of went into the decision of trading him?
I think for Mitch, it's a great opportunity for him. He is a pro. Love everything about him. Really good major league pitcher. For us, with the guys that we have in AA and AAA, the guys that we have coming back, he deserves an opportunity. And so for us, we were able to acquire a few really talented arms that we have a little bit more runway with and time with, that kind of smooths out that timing a little bit. We have a lot of pitchers kind of pushing to potentially come up at some point this year or next year, and just felt like, with the potential 40-man crunch the rest of this season, with most of those talented pitchers I named coming off the 60-day, where they aren't on the roster right now, but some combination will be. We were trying to be mindful of that as well.
Next question's from Bill Plunkett. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, Andrew, given your history at the trade deadline, are you walking away disappointed this year that you didn't land any of the top end targets that moved elsewhere, particularly down south in San Diego?
I feel good about the team that we have in place, and the way that they've performed. For us, if we have an acute need, you'll see us be more on tilt, and things where it's less of an acute need and it's more about, talent and how it fits short-term, long-term. There's just a different process that goes into that, but obviously that applies to different players and situations. Certain players very comfortable doing things that are very short-sighted, and others less so. And so there's obviously a lot of different factors that go into it, but I feel good about how aggressive we were in trying to line up on different things, the things that we ultimately did. But again, a lot of that stems from the special dynamic that I feel like we have in place, as well as the talent that we have here and the talent returning in the next, 2 to 4 weeks, 2 to 6 weeks.
How do you feel about the Padres being as aggressive as they were, and the pieces that they added?
Yeah, we fully expect it out of AJ and his crew. They're really good at what they do and really aggressive. They made their team way better in the last couple of days, and we look forward to that competition. And but it wasn't surprising to us.
And the move with Vargas, how does Justin Turner's situation affect his opportunity here?
Yeah, right now we're still kind of day to day, but it certainly contributes to that opportunity in the very short term. And obviously, we're a much better team when JT is. We're better off when JT is healthy and on the field for us. But we want to be smart about it, and we're not sure what that means yet. But every day he's getting progressively better, which is helpful. And we continue to learn more each day.
Next question from Jack Harris. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Andrew, were you guys kind of going into the last couple of weeks anticipating being able to make bigger moves, or did the price on some of the bigger names out there kind of go beyond what you guys were expecting? It's kind of a lot of talk about how much some of the hauls, some of these even guys outside of Soto got the last couple of days.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to anticipate. So I don't think a couple of weeks out we were like, oh, we're definitely going to line up on this. Trades are hard to make, and for us, it was just being organized and prepared on the guys that we had interest in. And if we went down one path, what pathways that opened up elsewhere. and I feel good in terms of, running out various plays and, getting into a bunch of different iterations, some of which happened, some of which didn't. But, again, I keep saying this, feel really good about the team we have in place and, how well-rounded and balanced the roster is and how it's performed and what we're adding to kind of help supplement that.
With the pitching staff, as you kind of look ahead to how it might shape up come the end of the year, do you kind of anticipate it's going to be more of a collective effort, given that, you maybe don't have those like really well-defined frontline starters or depth in the rotation like some of your past kind of playoff pitching staffs have?
I mean, I think our pitching staff is really good, and will most likely get considerably better. And so, we'll figure out through August and September what that looks like. And I feel very confident that we will have a really, really good 13-man pitching staff in October. And, exactly how that gets deployed and rolls, we'll take these 2 months to kind of determine.
All right, thank you.
Next question from Kirsten Watson. Go ahead, Kirsten.
Hey, Andrew, what was your reaction to everything that James Outman has done the last 2 days? And how is it a reminder of just how important the young talent is in this organization?
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch Audi. It's an incredible story from our amateur scouting efforts to our player development efforts. And it takes someone that has the work ethic and makeup and desire to be great that James has. And it's an awesome story with so many different people involved in it. And to watch him come up and impact our team in these 2 games the way he has been really fun. We've been sitting in a room with a lot of our scouts and some player development guys, and they've really enjoyed every minute of it, and rightfully so.
Next question is from Dave Vassay. Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
First time I've ever heard Dave quiet.
I had on mute there, Andrew. Joey Gallo, do you feel like he's hit his ceiling? Do you feel like there's something you guys can tap into? Obviously, he was criticized a lot in New York for the swing and miss. Just what are the expectations and how does he fit in with that bats?
Yeah, I think it is, obviously elite off the charts power, really good decision-making in the box, a really good defender in the outfield, who does have some swing and miss in his game for sure. And when those other things are clicking, it still is a really valuable player. Again, a year ago today, his industry value was significantly higher. And that same true talent level is still in place. It's not like an injury, had his, foot speed back up or really affected the swing. And so I think just getting to a different environment, our hitting guys are as good as it gets. And so we feel like there's a really compelling kind of upside story, coupled with just the fit. And, throughout the year, we've just been a little bit short in the outfield. And so to add a really good defensive outfielder also helps.
Do you feel like he's more than just a platoon player against righties?
I don't know. I mean, we'll add him to the mix and kind of let things play out. I think we're adding a talented player that has upside, and exactly, the role and how it plays out, I think, will be determined here shortly. And, as we mix things around and, hopefully get JT going again at some point, get CT back, and, we'll figure it out as we go.
Next question, Jorge Castillo. Go ahead.
Hey, Andrew. You mentioned this is the most expensive time to acquire talent, and you prefer to not have to do that unless there's an acute need. But just just going off social media, it seems like a lot of players are expected to be moved, weren't moved. Several players, and a lot of reports that maybe teams value players maybe more than other teams anticipate. I'm just wondering, was the market more expensive maybe than in years past? Was it different in any way this time around?
I don't know. I mean, when you're as mired in it as I've been, I haven't taken really a step back yet to take it in. Obviously, I know some of the players that didn't move. I felt like the last couple of weeks, additional wild card definitely has some effect on the market. But I think, at any juncture, a trade is just hard. It's hard to line up. It's hard to, kind of perfectly satisfy both sides. And so for things not to work out isn't that shocking. But maybe the volume of guys who didn't move. But as far as pricing, I mean, I think you get to the end of July, and again, it is the most expensive time to buy. But within that, there are some opportunities. Sometimes you know it in the moment. Sometimes it plays out as such. But I think historically, July is far and away the most expensive time to buy talent. And I don't have a great answer as far as was this one even more expensive, but I'll kind of take stock of that over the next few days and try to assess and help learn for next year.
You mentioned earlier that you guys, obviously you guys have a bunch of guys coming off the IL that should be coming off the IL should make an impact, in particular with Dustin and Walker. What are realistic expectations for them? Obviously they can be frontline guys, but they're running out of time a bit here. So what are realistic expectations for those two guys?
I mean, Dustin's last rehab outing was extremely encouraging, just the stuff in place. And, we've been extremely optimistic throughout his rehab. And so, we'll get him into his next one and continue to evaluate. I think each outing has gotten better in terms of feel, meaning execution of pitches. The high-end stuff is in place, and I think now it's just that last mile of, the execution and getting everything in good order and built up to the point where he can kind of take down a fairly normal starter workload. And exactly how that works, we have a little bit of time to figure out, but everything we've seen to this point has been incredibly encouraging. And on Walk, I'm not sure yet. Each day it's been better. We're kind of monitoring that progress on a daily basis. That said, we're going to be smart about it. And so, to the extent that it continues to improve day over day over day, and as we get into a throwing progression, if the box keeps getting checked, then I feel like he can progress to a point of being a real weapon for us in September and building up into October. But each day we're going to learn more, and as we go, and we'll factor that in.
And when you say it can be a weapon, is it possible that it's a bullpen weapon?
Is it possible what?
That it's a bullpen weapon, someone you use out of the bullpen with Walker?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything is possible. A lot of it depends on when he gets off the mound and when that progression starts and, where we can kind of build him up to. And I think, we don't know the answers to that right now, other than kind of each checkpoint, those boxes are getting checked. And if that continues to happen, then I think we have a chance to build him up. If we slow it down out of an abundance of caution or whatever else, then I think he'll be less built up. And so, we'll figure out kind of where he is and factor it in and, round out our pitching staff with the guys we have now and the guys that some combination of the guys we have coming back. And again, we feel like that 13-man staff is absolutely, going to be a strength for us in October.